Hello everyone, I hope you're well. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So we're going to create a different card today with my new release. This was one of the cards that we created yesterday along with another one which I've left downstairs, but I want to show you how, you know, different colours give a different feel to a card as with imagery. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this stamp set from my new release, which is called Windy Willows stamp set 978, and we're also going to use Garden times 975. We're going to use those two stamp sets, and if you would like the stamp sets, they're actually being showcased once again on Create and Craft TV. So if you go to the createandcraft.com website and you go to the calendar, you can now go to Friday, which is the 16th of June, and our shows are on at 3 and 7. And if you go to the 3 o'clock in this show, you can see the bundle there, like so. And it's already at the reduced price. And if you would like the singles, so for instance, have I gone back to Wednesday, so go back to Friday. So we're on at 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. So if I go to the 3 o'clock, you can then go to the singles here, click on the single. Do you know? So you can see there, you can get the single as well. So you can get them as singles. So if you go to Friday, the 16th of June at 3 p.m. and 7 p.m, you will see that the stamps are already there. So we'll actually, the shows start at 3 and 7, and there'll be some more demonstrations with the stamp sets just to showcase that once again. And the lovely design team will hopefully have some samples there because they've been sent. So what I'm going to do this time is I've got a piece of card, and it is 6 by 6 inches square, and I've got a card blank that is 6.5 inches square, and that's what I'm going to work on this time. So I'm going to take a scrap piece of, well, it's not a scrap piece of card, but a piece of card to stamp on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the Garden Times, and I'm going to use the Aptly Versifying Clair Acorn. I'm going to ink that up with the acorn. Giving that a really good inking, and then I'm going to use a little touch of black Nocturne just here and there, just to give a little bit of black, and then stamp that on my piece of scrap card. Again, as always, allow that ink just to absorb into the card. Let's just turn the light on. So allow that to absorb into the card. Just give that a few moments. I personally think that is such a stunning image, and you will see, where are we, that the flower inside the acorn is the flower that's on the Hexapetalistic stamp set. You will see that. Please note the numbers on some of my packaging is incorrect on some of the stamps. That will just be corrected, so I'll try and find out what the number will be, but it's no problem, that's just the number. So you'll see that the Hexapetalistic flower also appears in the acorn. I absolutely adore that. I think it's gorgeous. So then I'm going to take my Windy Willows and just chuck that one on the floor like you do. good like that. So I'm using the Windy Willows, and it's lovely to just see them stamped out. And it's nice because I can just hold them up to the camera really closely so that you can appreciate that detail. Leave that. And just a beautiful, another beautiful image. Though for me, those are stunning. A7 stamps, just stunning. I adore them. So what I want you to do is I want you to tear around this one so that you've got this. So just tear around it. And then I want you to have 2 sets of leaves and tear around those as well. Now you can place your acrylic block at the edge and just tear, or a ruler, or you can just tear freehand. So you want 2 of those leaves and you want the acorn. And then what I want you to do is stamp them again so that you've got them separate. So you've got the acorn, the leaf, and then I want you to have the 2 leaves separate. You can see the inside leaves have been cut out. And what I've done is, I'll just show you on this leaf here. Let's move them out of the way. Show you what I've coloured with. Let's just use one of the leaves. So I've coloured with my Inktense pencils, and I've coloured with Malibu 1213 and Mint Leaf 1240. These are new colours in the Inktense range. And all I've done is I've gone around with the Malibu first, just added a little bit of that colour. And then I've added the Mint Leaf as well. And then I've simply, as you do with the Inktense, just activated that colour with my water, and then I've just gone in, touched the pencil, and I've just added a little bit more intensity of colour. Please be careful when you're going in with, you need to sort of almost use a dry brush. Just pick up a little bit of the other colour, just to add that. And that is it. That's what I've done to colour. Let's just grab something to wipe that surface. There we go. What I've done is coloured the acorn, the flower inside, and I've coloured the leaves, just so you can see that. Okay, so we'll just place those on one side at the moment. Right, I'm going to bring in my 6 by 6 inch card. And I'm going to bring in the Morning Mist. I just want to test something. So I'm going to bring in the acorn again, which is the Garden Times. And what I want to do is just give the stamp a little bit of a wipe. Mainly because I've just used it and it's got ink on there that is quite wet. I only want certain areas of the stamp. So let's just blot that stamp. Not that it's going to matter too much because you will only see certain areas when I've put the arrangement on the card. So I'm going to take the grey. Let's move these out of the way a little bit. And what I'm going to do, just have a piece of card on the side and I'm just going to test. I'm going to use my grey. and use some of that sort of print in the background. So that's my first generation. I'm just checking it, and then I'm going to have a look at my second generation. So you can see I've got a first generation and a second generation, and for me, I love the second generation for it to be quite subtle in the background, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm using the grey, which is the morning mist, and I have to keep looking at the stamp because it's the morning, and Tracy doesn't function very well in the morning, poor old soul, because you know, it takes a bit for it to come round. So I'm just going to touch that onto the piece of card, and then I'm just going to add some of this stamping to the background. Yes, I love the second generation. So I'm just going to use another part of the stamp. So I'm just going to just sort of kiss that on there. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of that stamping just around the edges, and just adding a little bit of detail because we just want it around the edges, because most of the centre is going to be covered up. This is going to be another sort of long session, because I want to give a couple of ideas. Obviously don't worry if you've got a slight little mark in the centre, because you're going to cover that up. So I'm just using the piece of card just to blot some of that off. I'm just going to add, so you can see I'm just adding little bits of stamping. So let me just show you, because you'll have some of these that will go over like this, so you'll only see the little bits that we've stamped in the background. That's all we're going to see. So don't stress about it too much. So I'm going to take again the grey, going to just stamp off the excess, and let's just add, you know, I've forgotten then where I've actually inked. Hilarious. So it doesn't matter what happens here because a lot will be covered up, so don't stress about that too much. Try to remember not to put your ink pad up down onto the non-stick mat and the wrong way. And you can even just add some third generation. So you're just adding some of that detail. Just have a little piece of card just at the side, just to add your first lot of stamping. And just to show you each time, this is sort of going to be like this, so it'll be like a newspaper print around the outside. And you can choose the different areas that you want to use of your stamp. But you don't need to worry too much about the centre. You're just building it up, just so that you've got that bit of newspaper print around the outside. Just remember to have that little piece of card or paper just to put the first generation stamping on. And it doesn't matter if you overlap some of it, because with it being sort of a newsprint, it looks like an old book page. Guess what? Excuse me. Excuse me. It happens quite frequently now. I think it's something about videos. I often sneeze just to add to things. So just mopping off any background. So what I'm going to do is just put my little cards on here just so I can see. And you can see if you've got a little area that is going to be on show, you can just add little bits of the text. Right, so we've built up what looks like nothing on earth in the background, but don't worry about it. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to use some old paper. I'm going to show a couple of cards if I get time. So I'm going to use some old paper, and I'm just going to use some direct to paper, just very lightly, just dragging down the card. Now the ink that we've just stamped is permanent, so that's not going to move. And especially with using the grey, it dries rather quickly. So I'm just adding a touch of old paper, and I'm then going to add a little touch of bundled sage, and just dragging very lightly some of that colour just into the card. Sort of less is more. There we go. And then I'm going to use some salvaged patina. Beautiful colour. So bring in that salvage patina. And just building up those colours around the edge. So adding some detail around the edge. And I want a touch of, there we go, speckled egg. Touch of the speckled egg. There we go. And we've got a little bit of the blue in the colouring that I've done. So let's just add a little touch of broken china. Now you've got colour on your non-stick craft sheet, and you'll be dragging some of that also back into the card, which is absolutely fine. So you're adding some touches of the blue now. And you can start to sort of, this ink pad is a little bit drier, so I can press on a little bit harder. So what you can see is, as you add the colour, you can mop that up with another piece of card, that colour, but as you add the colour, the background sort of blend down into the card. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to bring in our focal imagery, and we're going to faff with the composition, and this is what I want to end up with. I don't want it like that, I want it like that. Okay, and you can see your newsprint, and I can see, let's just bring this back in, I just want a little bit more, let's just, a little bit more text just there, just to add a little bit more text, just a first generation touch of text. That's better. Okay, and when I've added these, I can still go in and add some more stamping if I wish. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to faff a little bit with the composition. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our first stamping, and I'm just going to add a little bit of adhesive down the centre, and I'm not going to press it. I'm sort of going to leave it floating until I get that composition just how I like it. So I'm not pressing it down at all, because the minute I press this down and it makes good contact with the paper, I'm not going to be able to move it. And you can see now I can move it. I just wanted to sing move it then. So you can see I can just then place those where I wish now, and I can press those down. And then what I can do is, because I didn't have any adhesive on the ends, I just added adhesive to the center of the card piece. I didn't add any here. I can just sort of turn the page. There we go. No, this one, no, I might not need that turned, but we'll see, because you'll see. But you can see I'm just building up my composition. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to add some cotton just in the background, just to give me that texture. And then before I place the cotton onto the background, let's just add some blobs of cotton. I'm probably going to add 3 sort of blobs of cotton, which the fan is going to blow all over the place. Of course it is, understandable. So I'm just pulling that out. Right, let's just move that on one side. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to come back to the stamp set, and I'm just going to add a little bit of the first generation. Just let me just rub that there, and just add a little bit of that first generation just here and there, just to give a little bit of the detail. Still using that grey ink. Just to add a little bit of the darker print just to our composition. And then going to add these little blobs of cotton, that's a professional term, just all across the card, just to give me that texture. I'm then going to take my acorn, which I will add on the top, and then I'm going to use my pin flare just to add a couple of blobs just to the project, and the colour just in the flower just echoes the colour in the background. I'm then going to take my leaves and just add the leaf here, and then just pick the cotton up at the same time. So just a couple of blobs there, and you can manoeuvre, you can still slightly tuck it underneath. Let's make sure we get that in the right place. You've got your leaf there. Obviously we're adding the leaf over the top. You saw me colour this one just to show you how I coloured. Then going to take these pieces, these smaller pieces, just so I can add that over the top. So we're just building our composition. Just bending it slightly just to give a little bit of depth. Let me just push that up. Now, I've got this frame. Just want to just add the frame. Now, this frame is it was one of the Tim Holtz frames that I've had for ages. I've had it for a long time, so I'm going to use the frame. You don't have to have a frame. You can just cut out a little frame out of card. And what I've done, I've coloured it with the acorn ink. I just used my cut and dry foam and applied the acorn ink and then added some Pebeo wax. But I want to sort of add this like, it will be like this. However, I just want to, and I'm going to have to turn the fan off. We need to turn the fan off because we'll end up with this everywhere. I want to see if I can use my Quickie glue pen. First of all, knowing if it works is just checking my Quickie glue pen, because I have got a couple that, and I have taken the end off, haven't I? Yeah, it is working. It's just going to be very difficult to see on here how much it works. Obviously, if you've got the adhesive you get where when you apply it, you give it time to dry and become sticky, that's fine. So I'm just using my Quickie glue pen. And hopefully we've got some stickiness on there. So I've got some gold leaf, and this is where I hold my breath, because, and I think when you're using the Quickie glue pen, it's better if you can grab, oh good grief, this is going to go everywhere, grab little bits so that it sticks better. You don't want big clumps of the gold leaf because it just won't grab hold. And I'm trying not to blow or cough, or this is going to end up all over my nails and everywhere. I just thought I'd tell you that. So wherever we've got a little bit of stickiness, and the finer the gold leaf is, the better, because obviously you've used that Quickie glue pen and it doesn't add much glue to your frame, but you don't want everything to be overpowered by that gold leaf. You just want little touches of the gold leaf. I'm going to close that before I end up with it everywhere. I'm just going to take my Quickie glue pen. You say that quickly in the morning. I'm just going to add a little bit. Just give that a couple of seconds to dry, and we should be able to use these little bits here that we've got. And then I can put my fan back on because it is so warm. Just I can feel the tackiness now. Just adds some sort of touches of gold to give it a little bit of opulence. And we've got it on my nail, we've got it everywhere. Of course you have. That's what happens when you use gold leaf. Let's just put that into a tray. I've got beautiful gold leaf fingernails. It looks rather nice, actually, the gold leaf on the fingernails. Right. Look like I've got a new trend. So, where are we going to put that? So you can see my frame then has just got some touches of gold. And what I want to do is just add this just so that it's going to be like this. And always, if you can look through a camera, it's always a lovely idea to look through a camera. Do I want to put it through the leaf acorn? Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some adhesive, and hopefully some of that will catch as we place it down. We're going to use the pin flare to add a little bit of that pin flare, just little touches of the adhesive, and as we place it down, some of that will catch. There we go. Just wipe the edge. I don't like it to have got bits of glue everywhere. And in this humidity, I just need to make sure that's pushed up. And I'm just going to just tuck it behind there. And then faff for goodness knows how long. And that's it. I'm now going to talk to an acorn. There we go. Just so that it catches just on that card. Just catches with some of that gold leaf. So I'm then going to just take my quickie glue pen, and I'm just going to add little sort of touches just here and there, just for the gold leaf. And then it'll take me forever to find where I've actually put all this stickiness. And to be fair, in this light, I can't even see the blue of the quickie glue pen. But hey, I like to make it a challenge. So I'll just give that a few seconds. And we'll see if we can just add a few touches of the gold leaf. Can you imagine if I sneeze now like I did earlier? I give you a laugh anyway, because I'll have stuff everywhere. And really, you really do need to use fine pieces, because what happens is the fineness of the gold leaf just catches where I've added some of that, because it's fine enough just to catch. You don't want it overpowering, like the heat. Oh, don't blow, Tracy. Just so that you add little touches. And what I've got left, that will be fine. I can add a bit more with what's left. So just take that quickie glue pen, and I can just see where perhaps I haven't got. Whew. Just give it a couple of seconds just to do its thing. And you'll feel the tackiness, and the gold leaf will just grab hold of the little bits of tackiness that you've got. So you can just use the little bits that you've got left, because you want it to look quite random. You don't want it to look. There we go. And that fan needs to come back on. There we go. Phew. Talk about hot. So you can see then we've got sort of little touches of the gold leaf. Right, Now, where did I put? Oh, there we go. Are these the ones? Yes, I'm sure they are. So I've got some, I've put elastic band on because I kept knocking them out the cupboard. I've got a metallics here. I'm sure that's copper. This is gold, so this is a gold Posca pen. And I can just add, just get that gold flowing. And what I can do is I can add sort of some little splatters. And you can see I'm splattering a little bit more gently than I normally do, just so that we end up with bits of this gold just over our project. And what I'm going to do is wipe up any stray. I find that the gold does go sort of, let me move that back, it splatters more everywhere than the white does, so just be aware of that. I've told you so that you don't get all upset with me because you've got gold Posca pen everywhere. So let's just, so I'm just giving my areas just a little wipe, and to add to that I just moved the camera, so let's just bring that down. There we go. Just make sure that we've got that so we don't pick up any mess. Just so you can see you've got some of that opulence of the gold just on there. So what I've done then is I've cut out from the stamp set, from the acorn, I've got little words like garden, which create little embellishments. I've also got a little leaf if I want it, and a little acorn. So you've got little embellishment pieces should you want them. So I'm going to just add the word garden just to my little frame. I don't want that there because I might have a sentiment over there. Yes, I'm going to add, don't know why I'm trying to do it with pin flare, so a little bit of the word there. So you can create your composition without even having embellishments. You've got your own embellishments just on your actual stamp set. There we go. So you create your own embellishments from your stamp set. So we can just give a few 3D elements, which I just love. I love a little faff with a few 3D elements. Just add that there, and we'll just faff, that's Tracy all over. There we go. I'm just going to take move that. It's irritating me now. There we go. Just want it in the right place. So I'm just giving my hands a wipe because even if I say so myself, they're rather grubby. In fact, very grubby. So what I'm going to do, it takes a little bit longer for the gold splatters to dry than maybe your white splatters. I'm going to add some touches of white. And for me, the white is definitely more controlled when I'm splattering. There we go. And obviously it's important that you wait for everything to dry. We'll just give that a few moments. A few moments. So let's have a look at some sentiments. What have we got on this? You see, I love this. Gardens add life to your years. Feed the soul, nurture a garden. And I want to use one of that. Or plant a garden, plant happiness. Just to add sentiment to our... I've got stuff everywhere. Let's now take the acorn off there and place it just on here, although I don't need an acrylic block this big. I can just, have I got an A7? Got an A7, far better. And then we just need a scrap of card. To stamp our sentiment, and we're going to do that in our nocturne. And sometimes I just turn the card on the side. You wouldn't do that. Sometimes I do it because I'm trying to make sure that I've got a good angle for you to see things. You can also separate these words if you wish, so that you've got the two pieces separately with a nice piece of the white card. And then you faff like me with the fan going, and it's hilarious. There we go. I have to try and remember what day of the week I'm on, you know. So it's Wednesday today. Happy Wednesday. Right. Let's bring in our card. So I do want to sort of bring the frame into it. And I am going to faff a little bit. I have to play around with my composition. I just want to bring the frame. Yeah, so I'm going to, and actually when you're doing sort of a project like this, sometimes it's nice to just give a little bit of quirkiness to your sentiments and don't necessarily cut them perfectly straight. And I'm serious about that. Because it just adds to the design. Feed the soul, nurture a garden. And that's something else I do as well. I constantly read the sentiments. I'm terrible. I'm absolutely dreadful. And what I'm going to do then is just place this on one side, and we're going to get our wonderful little bird on my quill ends. So we're going to use the little bird on the quill ends. Should have a little bit of card somewhere. Use that black ink. There we go. I've got gold leaf now sticking to everything, little tiny bits of gold leaf. It's lovely, it's everywhere. And I always decide to use gold leaf or anything that makes a mess just after I've hoovered. Honestly, I do it every single time. And why hoover up in the first place, Tracy? Because you know you're only going to drop bits everywhere. I do worry about myself at times. Right. So then, just want to see where I want to, let me just lift this up, where I want to add the bird. You see, he looks lovely inside the composition, inside your little frame. So what I'm going to do is just take a white gel pen, just add a little few touches of white, and then let's add just a little bit of the gel medium, just a gel medium pin flare, just so that it just stands up a little bit from the frame. I would just add that there, and just add, if you don't want to add the bird, you could do one of our hot glue gun embellishments, just so that you can see, just so it adds to our composition. And then if we just wipe our hands, everything should be quite dry now. If we bring in our white card, it really will pop against the white card. Let me just going to use my usual glue. With it being a 6 by 6 inch card, it's too big for my hand. So I have to try and not drop that. And it's nice to give different card ideas each time. And just allow that just to sit on there. Make sure that that Posca pen is definitely dry before you're pressing. There we go. Just making sure that's nicely dry. And then I'm going to add some little touches of white just to the flower, just to add little touches. Okay, you can see that. So I've just add some little touches of white to the flower, just to, there we go, and just so that you can see our card, just so that you can see that. Have a look in your drawers, your craft drawers, and see what embellishments you've got. See if you can use anything. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to create another card for you. But before I do that, what I've got is I've got these little strips of white card. Now you've got these white sentiments, so I just want to bring a little bit more of that pop of white. So this is literally cut when I was making a card blank. So I'm just going to take a little bit of the white and just add little touches of the white just to my composition. Just to add little pops of white. and I often faff with bits and pieces. Just add, there we go. So I'm just adding a little pop of white there, and then I'm just going to do a little pop of white here. There we go, just across there. So just to bring a little bit of that white from the sentiments into the background. So that is our first card finished with my new release. Totally different to yesterday's cards. Now, we're just going to spend a couple of moments just tidying up some of our area, just so that we can create another card. So let's just tidy up. I hope you'll just allow me 5 minutes just to move everything out of the way, so we can create a different kind of card, because you can get in a total mess with stuff everywhere. So if you just clean up a little bit before we start. If you end up with a little bit of gold metallic paint on your non-stick craft sheet and you can't get it off, use a little bit of hand sanitizer and that will get it off for you, no problem at all. So what I want to do is just move these stamps out of the way into my, I really want to use the tag. I adore the little tag, but there just isn't enough hours in the day. So I shall show you the tag. Let's just add that there with the leaf and put that in here. And let me just grab the tag out. I do want to do a project with the tag, this one. I just think that'll be lovely on a project. I want to use that next, but I just literally need more hours in the day. So what we're going to do is we're just tidying up a little bit because I want to create another project for you. Right, I haven't cut a card blank for this. Well, what a surprise, because I ummed and ahed whether I was going to do a second card. Well, I am, to inspire you with the new release. So what I've got is I've got a piece of 4, is it 4 by 8? You see, I'm going to question myself, or is it 3.5 by 7? When I make 2 cards, I always question myself whether I've got the right size. Yeah, it's 4 by 8. So what we're going to do now is use the same colours that we used in the previous card, but for a different style of card. So we've got a sort of DL, and the instant you have a DL, it automatically changes the feel for your card. What I've got is I've got my brayer, and these brayers come out, she says. I got it out in 2 seconds yesterday. So the brayer wheel comes out, and you can add textures to your brayer. So I've added different sizes of elastic bands, and it clips in. There you go, it just clips in. So I've added different elastic bands to my brayer. Then what I'm going to do is start with the same colours we had before. So I'm going to use old paper, and obviously the ink will touch the elastic bands because that's raised away from the brayer. And then what you're going to do is come down and add textures to your card, just so that you've got this from your brayer. So you've got your old paper, and what I want you to do is keep brayering across that card just until you've removed the majority of ink. We're then going to go to Twisted Citron and come down your card, and just keep going until you're happy with the colours you've got in the card. So we've got the Twisted Citron, just so you can see you're creating your background. There we go. I'm then going to use some salvaged patina, and then bring the salvage patina into my project. And if a certain colour makes you happy, you can add more of that colour. I'm then going to add the speckled egg. So the only thing I've added differently to this card is the Twisted Citron. So I'm just adding the speckled egg. And the thicker elastic band will give a different pattern to the finer elastic bands. Let's add a little bit of that blue. And move your brayer around just so you hit different areas. There we go. Just to give us our background. So we've now got a lovely background. Right, where's my... Now you can use your Posca pen to do this and pump some paint out. I've got my Liquitex acrylic ink. You can just use your Posca pen and do it that way. Honestly, I tie some of these lids so tight, it's ridiculous. And I'm just going to add a little bit of the white, and I'm just going to just add a little bit of this. It might be difficult to see on camera, but you will see it in real life. And also I'll hold this up just so you can see. And what this does is it brings some brightness to the design without detracting from your background. You can still see that detail through because of the transparency of the ink. So just add a little bit here. You can add water if you wish, just so that you can move it a little bit more. Let's just fasten that up and move them. Do you like how good I'm being by moving everything, just so that we can create another? And then that's what you end up with. Obviously it needs time to dry. Right, let's grab our anemone. Where are we? Just making sure I've got everything I want and deciding which flower, because I'm terrible like that. So what I'm going to do is just bring in my card, and I might use the Hexapetalistic flower. Do you know, I think I'm probably going to use the Hexapetalistic flower. Because I just think it will give a bold statement. Let's grab that Hexapetalistic. There we go. use that circle as well. Right, so I'm going to grab some scrap card, which of course I probably won't have any now. Well, I have for a change. So we'll just take the stamped image from the Hexapetalistic. Love this flower. And I'm trying to give you as many ideas before Friday the 16th of June, when the Create and Craft shows are aired, just so you can see how to use them. Just adore that flower. We've even got these Posca pens in the way, so let's move those and be really organised, just so we've got a bit of space in the craft room. And it's lovely when everything has a place, because you can really move stuff out the way. So I'm going to use the same colours I used in my previous project. So I'm using the Malibu at 1213, and I'm going to add the colour. So I'm just going and colouring. This is my Inktense pencils, which when dry are permanent. You can also use these on fabric. I need sort of 10 days in a week to try and fit gardening in and everything else as well. Oh, and eating, which I keep forgetting to do. Right, there we go. Mind you, in this heat, oh, definitely puts you off eating. Right, there we go. So we've got our Malibu, and then I'm going to use my mint leaf and just sort of work into that bluey colour. It's a lovely flower to colour. Nice open space. And very easy to colour as well, if like me you're not a professional in colouring, and also if like me you like simple methods. There we go. So let's grab that water and see if we can actually not knock the acrylic block. The camera stand, Tracy. So just cleaning my little brush, and then I'm going to just go in and blend. And I do, when I'm colouring, I do find I do get a little bit lost in the moment. If you've got too much pigment from doing all the petals, just wipe some off. And you know, I say it quite frequently, it is better, oh, I forgot that little green area on these. It is better if you can build up the pigment. Okay, so my brush isn't too wet now, so it's the perfect opportunity to take the brush, pick up some of the pigment, and now I can enrich that pigment on my card. Don't go in with a soaking wet brush, because all that will do is send it straight up to the barrel of the pencil, and you don't want that. So I'm just adding a little bit more intensity with the pigment direct from my pencil. And I find that it definitely works if you allow your project to dry in between layers. Yes, it takes a little bit of patience, but you will be rewarded with more intensity of colour, richer colour, because you've allowed the first layer to dry. Let's just take some of that pigment off and let's pick up the second colour. And it's definitely worth adding a little bit extra of the pigment. I can really see it sort of comes to life. I do love intense pencils because they're so simple to use. There's nothing complicated about them. I do think also it's important sometimes, you know, that I do show you how I colour in and not just skip over that. I'm just picking a little bit more of that pigment up, just because I don't want to forget certain areas. There we go. And sometimes what I'd do is I'd let that dry again and I'd go in with a third layer. You can even go in with your pencil and just add a little bit more rich pigment just right at the edges, just to give a little bit more depth. It just adds, again, to the depth of that colour. So you can just add a little bit more. Right, going to cut my flower out. And again, I ummed and ahed about doing a second demo, but then thought it's definitely worthwhile. Let's cut some of that card away. As you know by now, I like to work with smaller pieces of card, not to have a big cumbersome piece of card. And I'm just leaving a little white border. Just to add to the design. And you know, I've done a very detailed card for the first project. Your second project can be really pared back. And whilst you're cutting out, it gives that flower time to rest before you add any of the white highlights. It's definitely more bearable in the room at the moment with the fan on, so I do apologise for a little bit of droning. I find it quite hypnotic sometimes. If I'm in here, I was in here early hours of the morning again last night, and I find it hypnotic sometimes when the fan's going. I can feel myself zoning out to the sound of the fan. It drives Ian absolutely potty because I have to have it on in the evening, and he always takes the mickey and does the aeroplane sound as if it's landing on the runway. But because he'd come back from his trip yesterday, he was shattered, so the fan didn't keep him awake. Win-win for me. just because then we can have our flower here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stamp the circle image out that's on the same stamp set, on the Hexapetalistic. I want to burst into song when I say that. XPL, yeah, don't say it, Tracy. Right. So I've got this on here, and I'm just going to add, oh, yes, yes, yes. Oh, I do love it when you've got extra bits on a stamp set. I'll move those out of the way just for the moment. And then we want another piece of scrap card. Oh, we've got one there. Will this fit on my board acrylic block? Just maybe. I could be pushing it on there. Proves that it's a nice, good size stamp. So I'm going to take the circle image, which is just stunning. Again, makes a beautiful impact in its own right. So what I want to do is I also want to stamp this in the background, because I want to have the detail of the text. So I've got this here, and I want to stamp this here. So I'm just going to add this so that I've got some of the detail of the text in the background. If you wanted, you could just have this stamped on the card and nothing else. But I'm going to cut the circle out to give a 3D element, but obviously I'm not going to cut the text out. So just giving that a little bit of time. Doesn't matter about perfection, I just want a little bit of the text that's outside the circle. Now I'm not being funny, but you could just have that on the card, a little sentiment here done with some of those flowers coloured in. Stunning, absolutely stunning. But I'm going to have a little bit cut out, so let's have this on our card. That is stunning, just stunning. Right. So I just want to cut out. So again, giving a really good inking. Well, let's have it upside down. Just, there we go. Just a stunning stamp. Absolutely stunning. So just lift that acrylic block. Just a beautiful, beautiful stamp set. Absolutely gorgeous. So I'm going to colour the flowers in exactly the same way. As I'm colouring, you can fast forward the process of colouring. You don't need to watch that again. And I can just lose myself in the process. And if you like subtle colours, well, you can just blend this out with your water, not add any second layers of colour, and it'll be more subtle for you. Not everybody likes things too bold, they like it a little bit more subtle. So it's entirely up to you on your taste. But that's what's good about being creative. Everybody's taste is different, and that's what makes it so interesting. just layering on my pigment. There's always little areas I tend to forget. And then I'm going to go in with my mint leaf that I can never remember the name of. Just to add a little bit of the greeny colour. Funny, isn't it? I couldn't sleep during the night. Now it's got to sort of 10:15 in the morning. Guess what? I could quite easily go bed now. I think my body clock's now absolutely shot to pieces. It doesn't know whether it's coming or going. There we go. So we've added our colour. And I cannot believe I have been on here over an hour. I just don't know where the time goes. I really don't. I don't do it on purpose, you know, to waffle so much. I just get lost in the process every single time. Especially when I'm doing off-the-cuff demos. And with the stamps arriving, you know, not when expected, not a problem. But obviously I didn't get as much time to play as I normally do. So I thought it'd be a good idea to just give you lots of video inspiration this week before the shows, now that the stamps have arrived. There we go. We've got no green on there, Tracy. Just exactly what you did in the previous flower. There we go. And what I'll do is allow that to just rest, and I will cut it out and then add a little bit more colour. Really good size image. And I've done it again. Let's try not to put my arm again. Oh, and not the camera, I was going to say. That's what happens when your pieces of card are just too big to work with. Let's move that out of the way. There we go. And this one, I'm going right to the edge. I'm not leaving a white border. That way the flower that's standing on its own will just sort of stand out a little bit more with having the white border on. And because I've got this circle that's got all the white area, I don't necessarily need the white around the petals of the flower, because the white circle gives the white I need in this particular design for it to work. Adore this. Hexapetalistic. I just want to burst into song with an umbrella, you know, floating in the air. I bet some people tune into my videos, you know, and they think, what is this woman on? You get used to me, honestly. Now you see, I don't have to worry about the text that's around the circle because I've stamped that on my card, which works quite nicely. There we go. So if we bring this in, so you've got options. You can create a card like that, just leave it like that, put a little sentiment on, and you don't need anything more. I'm going to add mine over here, like so. It'll give a little bit of dimension, and the flower is going to go here, like so, just so that you can see that, just so you can see where I'm going. So I'm just going to add a little bit more pigment. So just a little bit more pigment to the flower. Just to bring a little bit more depth. It might be difficult for you to see on the camera, but hopefully when I lift that up, when I've finished the card, you'll be able to see that. And then I'm just going to go in just to add a little bit more depth, just where it gets darker, just a little bit more depth of that colour, just to give a little bit more depth. Honestly, when I'm using Inktense pencils, I can go over and over again just to build that layer up. I just love doing it. Right, I obviously need to allow that to rest before I can add any white areas, just so you can see. So what I can do is, I've got this text in the background and I can now extend it a little bit. So let's grab our circular stamp set again, and let's extend this little bit of text. So I've got the text on the same circle, and let's extend a little bit of the text, because then you're extending your composition, adding more interest, but making it more sort of balanced. Oops, just add that here. So then I've got a little bit of the text that just extends the design, and it just adds to your composition. Just add a little bit of the text here, and it really works. Let's just add that back. There we go. So we can now add our design. So what I'm going to do is just going to get all my adhesive bits ready now. First of all, this flower has been resting for a while. You can also have it like that, but this has been resting for a while. So I can add a little bit of the touches of white just to my beautiful flower, which when you see them in the flesh, it just adds to that. And you're creating a cohesive design that you've thought about every little detail. Okay, so let's see if this is dried enough, just so that we can just add little bits of white just to our composition. There we go. Oh yes, it's allowing me to just add the touches of white. And I think it's when you look at the project as a whole, the white really brings something to it. I'm just spending a bit of time just sort of adding some white elements. Right, let's add the adhesive to the back of the flower. And I can catch the stem behind the circle. So let's add the circle. I won't press that down just at the moment. Let's just grab some of that white cotton. And you can see I've not pressed that circle down initially. Just grabbing a little bit of white cotton, and then I can catch that stem just behind the circle, and then I can press it down. You can leave little bits sticking up just to give a little bit more life. Have that sticking up there. Your composition is coming together nicely. I do need to cut a card blank for this because you guessed it, I didn't cut a card blank because I didn't know whether I was going to create the card or not. So I'm just cleaning my brush, and then I'm going to take my grey Inktense pencil, which is China ink, or Chinese ink, I think it's China ink, which is the grey from my Inktense pencils. Just pick up a little bit of that water, just to blend out a little bit of the colour, just to give it a little bit more of a 3D element. Just take a little bit of time just to drag that out. In real life you can see the shadow, and again you can pick up a little bit more of that ink. Try not to go too overboard. There we go, just to add a little bit of that shadow. So what I'm going to do then, just to bring in a little bit more blue to the background, I'm going to take my broken china and just add a little bit to the edges. Move that out of the way. And sometimes, obviously, it is better if you add this before you add the flower, but sometimes a composition speaks to you, and that's why sometimes you add elements after the event, because of the way the composition flows for you. So I then want a sentiment. We'll go back to my Hexapetalistic, and we're going to use the sentiment Beauty Surrounds Us, and oh boy does it. Which way is that one? That's it. Don't stretch your sentiments. Let's stamp. Oh, don't stretch your sentiments. Don't even put them on the acrylic block properly. That'll work. So just place that down so it's nice and straight. Move your card out the way, and then you can press that on there. Use your black ink. Let's just, we could do with a straight piece of card. It usually helps. Beauty surrounds us. I told you, I read out every sentiment. Just a habit. We've all got these quirky little things, haven't we? So just, and I'm just going to cut it a little bit longer at the moment, just until I decide how I'm placing it. I'm sure something's just bit me, you know. Or I could just be slightly losing the plot. So, beauty surrounds us. So I can put this here, like so. Let me just have a look at that. Oh, just beautiful. So let's take our adhesive and we'll add adhesive all the way top to bottom. I'm just going to place that just there and faff like crazy because that's just me. And then what I'm going to do is fold that over. Just make sure that grabs hold first. And then fold that over. There we go, just so that we've got that. So I'm then going to just move the stamp set. You know, I always wonder how I get so much mess on the acetates, and it's because I just lean them in paint and everything. Right. Now you've guessed it, we're going to use our little bird that Tracy can't find. And put them in there. So I'm going to use my little Quill Ends, take our little bird, and then we can cut that out. And it's just been lovely creating in the morning before the strong heat of the day takes over and Tracy can't function, which is standard. There we go. So I can then add my little bird here. You can add it here as well. Let me have a look at the composition. So just keep looking at your composition and see how you like it. For me, putting the bird there seems a little bit out of the composition, so I'm going to add him in the second position. So just add that here, and the bird's in his element in amongst the florals. There we go. I don't know what to put the lid on that for because we've got to create a card blank, and I know you'll bear with me while I create a card blank. So when you're adding your white splatters, just keep the white splatters away from your sentiment. And it's surprising how everything dries so quickly because it's so much warmer. So I'm just going to cut a card blank. So this was 4 by 8. So I just need to cut a card blank. A bigger card blank, so bear with me. I have to be happy with what I'm doing. So I'm just creating this out of A3 card on the floor of my craft room because that's what I do, and I'm creating it out of an A3 piece of card. So There you go. And we've got a white card blank, 4.5 by 8.5, and I'm going to leave it, the white on there without a black mat, because I've put the blue edging around there, and that adds enough for me. Let's just adhere this. Okay. And just add. So we've got sort of a 1/2 inch border just around the card. And the white on white brings vibrancy. Obviously, as I always say, you would let your white Posca splatters dry. Okay, let's move a few things out of the way so that I can bring both cards in so that you can see them. Okay, so what you've got is, you've got our second card, which is sort of like a DL. Obviously not true DL, but you know what I mean, that elongated style, just so you can see that. And then we've got our first card, just so that you can see that as well. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope, as I always say, that you enjoyed the process. Thank you all so much for your supportive comments. They really mean the world. Love to all, and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.